question from Casey. It says, license to drive. So to get straight to the point, I love it. Getting straight to the point. I feel that I am a fairly above average illustrator. I love making art, and I really would love to make it a career. Currently working as a manager at a grocery store. But when I finally have a day off of work or get home early enough that I don't have to go to bed immediately, it's so hard for me to sit down and draw instead of relaxing. Then by the time my free time is waning, I feel bad that I didn't get any art done and that I'm just wasting my own time. And it gives me a sense of self-annoyance and anxiety about what I'm doing with my life. I guess the question I'm trying to ask is, how do I cultivate a work ethic? How can I create my own drive and focus? Is there a way to help me help myself, or am I just doomed to have art that only exists at a hobby level? Thanks again for all you guys have done and continue to do. Signed, Casey.
Let me answer this one.
Yeah.
Can I take a quick stab?
Mm-hmm.
They're saying that their time to do artwork is when they come home, right? After work.
Mm-hmm.
That's the problem right there, is everybody has a rhythm where they are either have energy or they're tired or whatever. For me, it's like 6 to 10 a.m. That's my power hours. I can crank through. I've got tons of energy. I feel creative. I feel good. You get me at 2 o'clock to 5 o'clock. That is, I have trouble. I've now started just napping because of how ineffective I was. I literally just said, you know what? I'm so tired. Why don't I just go to bed? And that's actually been good, because then I get a new block of creativity and freshness after I take a nap. But everybody's got those rhythms. Some people work really great at night. It sounds like this person needs to just try to do it before they go to work, because there ain't no way you're going to have enough energy coming home from work. If you're tired already and you haven't relaxed, you're just not going to bring it, no matter how much you try to force that.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember too, this, when I before I had a full-time art job, like I would draw on my lunch break, like I would look for all these little windows to like create something. So that this was when I was younger too. And then I would draw late into the night, but trying to find all those little cracks and crevices in your day that you could fill with drawing is one answer. But I want to just back up Lee, and that your most, like, studies have shown that like your most creative hours are the early hours of the day, because your brain is fresh, it's new, it's like it's just finished with sleeping, and sleeping is when all the toxins are like removed from your head, and you're ready to go, and your brain's just like more elastic and ready to go. And so you can get a lot of good stuff done early on. I also find too, when I do work late at night and I get into a groove, it's usually because I don't have anything like pressing against me, and I have just this freedom. So I'm not worried about answering emails because or getting phone calls or texts or anything, because who's up at midnight to do that kind of stuff or wants to get an email at midnight? So I can just like freely create. And that's back when I had, 20-year-old energy, right? now in my 40s, it's like, I just need to like recharge from about 6 p.m. on, and then see what I can get done in the morning. But what were you going to say, Will?
One thing that I found that really helps with this, and it's not anything that you can do overnight, but it's to make sure that you're only taking on the kind of projects that you really love. Because one of the things that happens, or has happened to me in the past, where I felt a real lack of motivation, was the work that I had accepted that I really didn't want to do. So if you can have work that you can't wait to get to, that's going to help just as much as anything else. That's not always possible. Sometimes, you have to fight through. And quite frankly, I think every artist has to take bad work, or the work that they really aren't inspired to do, to learn, to get enough of that, to learn to turn it down in the future. Now, that was me early on in the first 5 to 10 years. Is I would say yes to an assignment just because it paid money. And I needed the money, our family needed the money. But whenever I would, hit that wall of just, I don't want to go in the studio and and work, it was almost always because the work was uninspiring.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to add one thing here. Oh, go ahead, Jake.
No, you take it.
Well, if you picture it kind of like waves, like ocean waves, for example, you got highs and lows, and you got to pick those, like I was saying, throughout the day. But also, there's that same pattern that exists within the different stages of work that you're working on. And I just want to bring that up because even if and I agree with Will, you need to have stuff that you like and you're excited with, but don't think that because you love a project that's going to make it easy. Because some people think that, I thought I was into this project. Now it's hard. I'm running into that with my tarot deck. And I find that, the waves that happen with that are when I'm trying to figure out what I'm actually going to be drawing. So I'm in the thumbnail stage. It's exhausting. If I were to try to do a thumbnail stage after doing something strenuous throughout the day or at the end of the day when I'm exhausted, nothing's coming out of that. It's just too hard. I've got to use too much brain power to figure out what's going to be in the image. Likewise, if I go to my painting stage or even my like tonal study stage, that stuff's super easy for me. I could have a conversation. I could be doing this podcast and be painting and not thinking about it. And that's easy. And I can hit that when I'm at a lower level. So depending on how much energy you have, you can change the task to match it.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. I think too, like the work ethic part too, like, I wouldn't beat yourself up telling yourself you don't have great work ethic because you're not able to create when you're like super tired after working a full day at managing a grocery store. Like, don't beat yourself up for that. You're absolutely perfectly normal not having that. That said, if you start putting in these sort of these tactics that we're telling you, start, wake up early, go to bed early and wake up early and create before you go into work. Take on projects that you're excited about, but that you also, have the motivation to see through the end. If it's still not getting done under those circumstances, then there's some things that you're probably going to have to do to like develop that work ethic to finish things. And what I find for me is I work really well under pressure. And so if there's some sort of external deadline where I'm counted on to finish this thing, whether it's a commitment to a community or a commitment to a person or a commitment to a show, like if you're preparing something for a Comic-Con, you want to, like, you've got a table, you've invested money, and there's just a deadline that you have to have a book done by then or a set of prints done by then or something, then I'm more likely to finish those things because I know I don't want to let down the people I've committed to make those things. So I would say give yourself some sort of accountability to do it. I would also limit I would give yourself some constraints as far as amount of time to finish something. So a lot of times people are like, I'm going to do, the Great American Novel. I'm going to sit down and write this 600-page book, or I'm going to make a graphic novel, this 200-page graphic novel. I'm just, I'm going to do a page every 2 days. And I'm going to do, what I would do is narrow your scope and instead say, I'm going to make this thing that I can do in 1 month. What can I accomplish in 1 month? And work towards finishing that and reward yourself for doing that. The finishing the thing is a reward in and of itself, but also, promise yourself some sort of delay of gratification that you'll be able to get. Then I get to watch the movie I've been wanting to watch. Then I get to play that video game I've been wanting to play once this project's done. And so that sort of trains you, I think, into the idea that work comes before play, right? Mm-hmm. And work is and accomplish this thing is sort of this thing that has to happen first. Limit your you could also limit your materials for it. A lot of times we have Photoshop in front of us with 1 million colors and 1 million brushes and 1 million canvas sizes and 1 million layers and all that stuff. And that can be, daunting and overwhelming. And so maybe you just say, I'm going to create this thing with 2 brushes and 5 layers or something like that. And those limits can also,
great point.
Yeah, they can help you finish something in a faster amount of time, but also, I don't know, make you a little bit more creative and problem solving in those.
For my
in
early
that regard.
stages of work right now, I'm going back to just a pencil and a sketchbook. That's it.
Mhm.
No fancy stuff. And man, it's so, because I realized on the computer, kept getting these pop-ups and messages and emails I need to do. Oh, I got to sign my son up for this camp, all this kind of stuff
Yeah.
with the computer. It's like, I just got to leave this behind.
Yeah.
One thing I'll add too, that the more specific the task at hand, the more likely you are to do it. At least that, I'd love to hear what you guys think. But like for me, if I'm thinking, man, I need to get home and do that graphic novel, that's super abstract, and your brain's going to say, no, that's way too much that's heavy lifting. But if you say, hey, I got to go, add tone to page 34, that's really specific. And then you can kind of say, okay, your brain can wrap around whatever the task is. And so I find that the more specific I am with the thing that I need to do, the more likely I am to do it.
That's such a good point.